listening to the Why Boarding School podcast, broadcasting around the world. Join us as we promote independent boarding schools throughout the United States and Canada with our invited guests. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jeffrey Quebec.
Welcome to the Why Boarding School podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec, and today I'm joined by the Director of Enrollment Management at Concord Academy in Concord, Massachusetts, Mbakwe Okafor. Welcome, Mbakwe. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm super excited to be here with you as well.
So in 1922, an all-girls college preparatory day and boarding school was established in the historic town of Concord, Massachusetts. This new school, Concord Academy, was for students in first grade through 12th grade. In 1961, the academy discontinued its lower grades, which were made of day students. In the fall of 1971, Concord Academy became the first all-girls boarding school in New England to become coeducational when it accepted boys to the school. Mbakwe, perhaps you can start off by giving our audience a brief overview of the number of students at Concord Academy, the grades you offer, where the students come from, etc.
No, that's a great question, and thank you for the history lesson. Hopefully that's folks get an understanding. So right now, Concord sits at about 415 students, and we're about, I would say, we have 157 students who are boarders here. And we span from 16 states and 15 countries. And that's the makeup for us at the current moment.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. And what is the academic curriculum like at Concord Academy?
I would say folks would say that we are a progressive academic curriculum, looking at a lot of different, obviously as the school was established as the first all-girls boarding school in New England. There is a lean towards, really looking at research, really looking at some academics or some history that are not typically talked about, which really enhances the culture of our space. I do want to say folks love the academics, but it is, I would say, rigorous academic environment with a soft touch as far as having an advisory program where teachers have one-to-one with students. So when they need some support, they need guidance, we're there to just kind of support them. But the academics is super rich. We have close to over 200 courses that students can select. And it spans from, a really cool class such as the history of Haiti, which students can take at the early grade of ninth grade, to quantum, mechanics or multivariable calculus. And so the span is very wide. And I think that's one of the most attractive piece to Concord is the academic offerings that we do have here.
That's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about the visual and performing arts offerings?
Yeah. So, our visual and performing arts actually is a part of the overall curriculum. We are one of the few schools that say students have to take 10 art requirements, and it can vary between visual and performance. And so our students are taking them within the ensemble blocks that we have within the school day. So they don't necessarily have to just pick between music and sports. They're actually built-in days within our school schedule where students can take performance and also visual arts. And also, we just did an amazing production this weekend of Chicago. I saw it on Thursday, which was the first showing. And I tell you, we have some super, super talented young people who are really, really invested in their arts and really invested in performing and showcasing their talent. And so our visual and performing arts program is super, super strong. And we are about to open up, super excited. This fall is going to be the grand opening of our Centennial Arts Center, which is a $50 million building that's going to help us integrate some of the art offerings that we do have into more general spaces. We're going to have a theater. We're going to have music performance space. We're going to have a studio where students can record music, and it's just going to be awesome. So I'm super excited about our arts offering that we have here.
How cool is that, especially for these artists to have this new facility? And certainly I imagine both the students and the teachers are pretty pumped up over it.
I can't tell you who's more excited, the student or the faculty, because as of after spring break, the faculty would start moving items in, and we'll start to experiment with the space and figure out what we need and and so they can't wait. They can't wait. So we're hoping to get our occupancy permit on the 21st actually of March, and then we're fully go. And for us in admissions, we're actually going to do our revisit days opening in that space. So
very
we
nice.
want our prospective families to kind of actually see it as they make decisions.
Nice. So Mbakwe, in addition to the strong visual performing arts at Concord Academy, are there any other special sort of signature programs that are offered at Concord?
So I want to talk a little bit about our senior projects that we do have. Also, we have what we call the Director's Project, which we have students that actually direct a full-on presentation that they do, or play or music production. But our senior project students actually align or present a project to faculty and staff, and then we'll have a faculty that will advise them through the process. And last year we had a really interesting class where a student who is from Mexico and also Spanish speaking wanted to do a Spanish class about the history of Mexico. So we had a history teacher who had the knowledge of Mexico, but then also we had a language teacher who, taught Spanish. So he proposed an idea where we had a combination of two teachers co-teaching a class about the history of Mexico in Spanish, which was a tremendous space. We talked about food history, and this was something a student, as a junior, designed and co-authored and kind of like pushed forward. And with the support of our faculty and staff, it was able to happen. And then the conclusion of it was this idea that we would actually go to Mexico. And so at the end of graduation, a group of students went to Mexico for a week to kind of learn and grow and kind of complete the thought process, or complete the school, the academic of that space. So, you learn it and then you put it in practice. So it was really tremendous. And that's just a small part of some of the things we do. Sometimes people talk about CA or Concord and I don't mention our athletics. And I do want to take this moment to talk about our athletic program as being another signature. We're expanding and some of the offerings that we do have. We have some really strong teams. Our girls squash team just won the nationals this past weekend. Our girls basketball is playing tonight. Hopefully they make it to the ELL playoffs. And then our boys, for the first time that I'm aware in a while, are in the playoffs as well for basketball. So super exciting time with the play, with athletics. And so this is just a couple of items that I think it's really cool to talk about.
Oh, that's great. So to piggyback off the athletics, is every student required to play a sport each season? And also, what are some of the other offerings that you have at Concord Academy?
Yeah, it's a great question. I do want to mention our boys soccer team did also go to the playoffs this year.
Okay.
They went to the championship. They lost. It's a tie game with 2 minutes left, and they had a great season. So at Concord Academy, you're not required to have athletics or take athletic offerings, but we do require you to take something that is required some physical movement, whether it's yoga, whether it's running, whether it's strength and conditioning, to the idea of keeping kids engaged and also keep them active. And also, there are times there's some production that does take place, like for instance, Chicago, which was a huge production. Those students had to meet after school for months to prepare for it. So that counted as also a requirement, after school activity requirement. But no, not every student is required to do sports here. But we encourage it. I think it's a great way to build relationships. I think it's super important for first year students. This is the first time you're actually in a space with multiple different grades, and you have to accomplish a goal together. You have to eat, get on the bus together, go somewhere. I think it's a great tool to help build camaraderie and build friendships, and that's something that I think everyone will benefit from.
So true. It's the Chameleons, right?
It's the Chameleons. That's correct.
Go Chameleons. Nice.
Go Chameleons. Yes.
All right.
Awesome.
So Mbakwe, we're going to take a quick break.
Sure.
When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation talking about Concord Academy in Concord, Massachusetts.
Do you have any questions or guests that you'd like to see on an upcoming Why Boarding School podcast? You can contact us directly through our website at whyboardingschool.com. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back to the Why Boarding School podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec, and today I'm joined by the Director of Enrollment Management at Concord Academy in Concord, Massachusetts, Mbakwe Okafor. And so, Mbakwe, as we continue our conversation, learning more about Concord Academy, can you share with our audience what is a typical school day like at Concord Academy?
That's great. So a typical school day, our students will get up around 3 times a week. We'll start our day at 8:30, and then twice a week we'll start around 9:20, and at least 3 times a week we'll start in the chapel. So our chapel, I think, is a huge differentiator. It's an opportunity for a senior to get up on stage, right, on the chapel and share any part of their life that they want to, share about their struggles, their accomplishments. Some of the things that you wouldn't find young people sharing in a space of 400 plus. But some way, somehow, Concord is able to create a very intimate, very vulnerable space where young people can just open up and just share. So we'll do that, and then have 15 minutes undivided, uninterrupted, 15 minutes to share about their life, whatever they want to share about. From there, we'll transition to one of our first classes. And so students will then have classes from about, I want to say 8:50 to about 3:10. And then we'll start to then transition to afternoon activities, which can be folks, like I talked about earlier, they're part of a big production or they're doing athletics, and now run from about 3:10 to about 5:50, depending on varsity and JV level. And also depend on space. And then dinner will start around 5:30, and dinner will go to about 7. And I do want to talk about, even though Concord has, we have about 240 something day students and 157 boarders. What you tend to find is that our day students are actually choose Concord because of the diverse boarding community. We have a plethora of amazing day schools in the Boston area, but some of our day students said, "Hey, you know what? You can't find this kind of diversity in the local day market in Boston. But Concord is a school that also brings this amazing boarding component from students from all over the world." And what the day students tend to do, they usually are here for breakfast, and they also usually stay for dinner. So it's so sometimes I have conversation with parents, and parents are like, "My child is coming home at 9:30 every night, or they're coming home at 9. They're a day student. Why are they coming home so late?" And a lot of it is because we are an open campus, right? We're here 7 days a week. We are at our core a boarding school. And so our day students benefit the most, right? They're here for breakfast, dinner. They come on Saturdays, Sundays. There's clubs that meet on the weekends as well. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, we have dinner, and then around 7:30 to 9:30, we'll have study hall. And depending on the grade you're in, so our 9th and 10th graders will have more of a structured study hall, designated space. Our 11th and 12th graders will have a little bit more freedom. They can probably do study hall in their rooms. Or study whenever they choose to. And then around, I want to say 9:30 to 10, everyone has just a free time to kind of get a workout in, or just travel through campus, maybe go for a run. And then around 10, everyone starts to then trickle back into the houses, and and then lights out works by grade as well. 9th and 10th graders will start to transition around 10:30 into bed, and then our half hour later, our juniors and seniors would then start to transition as well. One of the things I do want to mention, though, in this is that we actually don't have dorms. We have historical houses, and we have a housing system. We have, and so it's really, really cool. It's more like, being home. We have a house system. It's historical. It's built, obviously, the town of Concord. There's all these colonial houses, and it's a really cool space. You won't have any more than 20 to 30 kids per house. So I do want to mention that kind of component. And we have holidays and birthdays and decorate the common room area. And we have multiple different grades in those houses. We have 9th, 10th, and 11th graders and 12th graders. And then also we have what we call the boarding council, which are student leaders that oversee all activities having to do with all boarders. And so they come up with the ideas, they send out the emails, they send out the texts for, hey, we're having a house competition around dodgeball. We're doing, show up to the shack. We're having a dance off. Show up to the chapel. We're doing our choreographed lip sync contest or whatever that may be. So there's a lot going on campus when we think about the school day and also the boarding components.
Yeah, very nice. So basically, it sounds like the dorms they're sort of balanced as far as the different grades in each dorm, or
Right.
as you say, houses.
The houses
Yeah.
are balanced in the sense that you'd have 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. The goal is to really have big brothers and big sisters built into the process.
That's awesome. Awesome.
I don't know if you ever remember, like there's times that 9th graders will show up and they have, relationship issues with their roommate. Yeah,
Sure.
one likes to sleep in, one likes to wake up and having
One's messy, one's clean.
one's messy, and having older students in the house helps with those
That's great.
conversations. So it's
So also going back to the conversation you mentioned as far as the seniors giving these speeches in front of the entire student community, is that something that every senior does, or is that optional? How does that work?
Yeah, so one of the cool parts about CA, and I say CA because that's how we call Concord Academy, is that we don't have school awards. Like we don't have a valedictorian. We don't rank our students. So every senior gives a speech. Every senior has the spotlight on them at one point. And the goal is to really say that, at CA, we're really a space that believes in that the student will find themselves, right? Like they're all individually matter. And we don't believe in you find yourself in comparison to someone else, right? We feel like we want you to focus inwardly, and we also believe that in the individual, that's super important to honor the individual. And so we don't have rankings, we don't have awards, we don't have valedictorian. Every senior does a speech. And obviously, if you can imagine a senior doing a speech, they've seen in their time, their 4 years or 3 years at CA, seen someone get up there and give a speech. So they start to learn about, oh, wow, this is very vulnerable space. This person is sharing about highs and lows of their life. And so when they get up there, it's super important. We've had students play music throughout their whole chapel. We've had students share art pieces, design art pieces. We've had students sing in their spaces. We've had students, it's truly a manifestation of yourself and how you want folks to see you. And I think that's extraordinary. I think that really is a tremendous way to start the day. So the chapel is something that I think is extraordinary here.
And what a powerful experience. And as you mentioned, how many of those underclassmen every day are sitting there thinking about, okay, what am I want to, present on? What do I want to talk about or, present?
Oh yeah. Also, like, I can never, and what I hear often for our seniors is that when I was sitting here as a 9th grader, I couldn't imagine myself being this vulnerable or being able to get up here. And so you see a lot of these 9th graders are just shocked. And over time, they start to, I think go from shock to can't wait to be able to just talk about themselves and talk about their lives.
Certainly a proud moment for them.
Absolutely. And their parents as well.
Sure. And so how about the weekends at Concord Academy? What are they like? Are there events on campus, maybe different clubs or activities, maybe trips off campus? How does that work?
Yeah, I think, one of the best things I love about CA is that the proximity, right? You have Concord Academy, right? But then you have it in this bustling town, historical town, where you can walk minutes away. You could be at a antique shop, restaurants. Like even the downtown of Concord is super amazing. And then you can walk 5 minutes and then you're at the commuter rail, right? And we actually promote the idea of being 18 miles from Boston to jump on the commuter rail, to get into Boston, to also continue to expand on your knowledge about New England, about Boston. So those are always in play. But actually on campus, we do a ton. Starting from Friday night, as we start to transition, there's a ton of things that happen, whether it's athletics, whether it's dorm, I would say houses having different activities that go on, and then it also moves into the Saturday morning where we have trips and whether some students want to go do a variety of different things. Sometimes we bring food trucks on campus. There's sometimes we have athletic events on the Saturday, but not often. And then one of the cool parts about Saturday, and I was a part of this last year, is our we call it homemade Saturday night food, like house food.
Okay.
It's basically a way to call in everyone at 11 p.m. right, and then the house parent prepares a meal. It's supposed to be a house snack, but every house parent will tell you it's not snacks. I mean, we're talking about spaghetti, cookies, watermelons. We're talking, for me, I got a chance to prepare some macaroni and cheese and some chicken and
how's your cooking?
My wife helps me, so that's big. I've gotten better and better. The students that I was with last year, they told me I had to step it up because I was doing a lot of chips and dips, like the chips with cheese and avocado, and they were like, "Hey, we need something more substance." So
these are tough food critics.
I know
that's awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it helped, and they're super grateful. And it's just a fun time because at 11, everyone's coming in. They're hungry. They've been out all day doing a bunch of different things. And also it's a way for us to take attendance, but it's more of a gathering. Again, when I talk about the houses, we may watch something together. I've watched, I was in a female identified house last year. So I know a lot about Taylor Swift. And so Taylor Swift concerts I've watched. I've seen a lot of choreography done by the humans that I lived with last year. So I'm your expert. I won't even call myself an expert. But,
that's awesome.
So as we're eating, we're doing a ton of different things, and I'm learning their culture. They're learning my culture. I'm learning what they enjoy. So it's super cool. It's super chill, and I think that's kind of something that really separates us for the weekend.
Certainly a home-like atmosphere right there.
Home-like atmosphere, absolutely.
So Mbakwe, continuing the conversation with the all-important topic of food.
Correct.
Can you share with us about the meals at Concord Academy? Are they served sit down? Are they buffet? Are they required? How does that work?
Yeah. So for us, the great question, Jeff. We're more of a casual space. So breakfast will open up at 7-ish, and students have the opportunity to grab it between 7 and 8:20 for the class for the days that start at 8:30, and then it adjusts for the days that start at 9:20. And every meal time is usually casual. It's go out. There's always a salad bar option that students can make. There's also a stir fry section that you can take your own concoction and then stir fry it up and create something that's super unique. And then we also have hot meals every meal. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I find that when I get there, I can dabble. And sometimes I want a hot meal. Sometimes I just want to make a salad and throw some tuna on there and some salad dressing. There's always snacks, obviously. There's cookies and fruit options. And I think the dining hall is great. I think it's a great atmosphere. It's always super busy. And also, it's a really cool time, especially at lunch, for the advisors to meet with their advisees. So you find a lot of times teachers having one-on-one meetings at a table with a student, and this is their one time to kind of check in about about anything that's going on about the academics, but also doing it around food. One of the things I really realized last year in being in the house was food is really important in a lot of cultures, and food is actually the core of socializing. And for some folks, and they also, as I've traveled and you've traveled as a board in representation, and whether it's Asia, whether it's Africa, whether it's anywhere in the world, that food is the center of the gathering, the conversation, the getting to know you. People try to get to know each other around food. So you're full and you're trying a good meal. I think the conversation is just more enriched.
Especially with teenagers too, right?
Oh, absolutely. If you feed them, they'll come to anything. Especially if you're having an event, you want to have
awesome.
food present.
So you mentioned the advisor system. Can you share with us about the advisor system at Concord Academy? What is that like? Is it, the advisory groups designed by houses, by grades?
Yeah, it's great. It's funny because I mentioned I described it to another school, and they said, our faculty will never do that. So our advisory program is a big differentiator for us compared to other schools. So basically, every week, every student will have a one-to-one with the adult who's their advisor, and it's an hour long. And basically, in that time, is to go over how they're doing the social emotional component, academically, what they need support around. It could be about, hey, as a ninth grader, hey, I want to be my junior year is spring term. I want to be in Spain. What do I have to do academically to put myself in position that becomes a reality? It could be for a ninth grader. Hey, you know what? My roommate is messy and I'm clean. And how can I work on trying to help support them and find a balance? So the conversations always could be about, love life. It could be about, I feel like this one course is really tricky for me. I probably am going to need some student support, some tutoring. Can you help me write an email to the academic support center so we can find a tutor for that? So that is something that's super amazing. This one time a week office hours, not really office hour, but the advisor, where you get a chance to be with an adult for a whole entire hour and to catch up. And our students love it. Our faculty and staff love it. It is a huge commitment, as you can imagine, because they're busy with boarding life. They're busy with their classes as well. But it's a CA. It's another piece about CA that really, it's just a part of just who we are. I just feel we're a relational school. We're a small community, and we feel like that's a way to kind of stay connected to one another.
Well, that's certainly impressive, and I think it's also a tribute to the dedication of your faculty and staff with that sort of commitment to their students. That's awesome.
Yeah, our faculty and staff are not just amazing teachers; they're amazing human beings. I find at times they are advocating in the behalf of their young people, and they're looking for ways to help their experience be even greater. A lot of times, it's not even the student that's advocating. You can find their advisor advocating on their behalf or helping them craft some way of communicating to help them with advocating for something that they want. And then our students ask for anything. They show up. They're very strong-willed. I think that they feel like they have agency, and I think that that's also built into the advisory program that we have and the chapel and the relational. Like, they see adults as not just this authority figure that's just teaching. They see them as partners, and that's kind of hard it's not something that you can do everywhere, but they see them as partners to help them get access to what they need in order for them to be successful. And that's what we truly want to show them as well.
Would you say, is there a typical Concord Academy student?
Ooh, I think not. I think if you are, I think if you truly are understand the benefits of diversity of thought, diversity of people, backgrounds. I think if you are an open-minded person, like you're just welcoming new ideas, new thoughts, and you're understand that you're one of many different ideas that could possibly show up. And I think if you believe in community, like, hey, you know what, the village matters. Like, I have my own space, but I'm here to enhance the experience of others. Like, I think that those are just the core elements that we look for in our students. And obviously, like, again, our academics are really strong. I mean, we're going to push students academically in a very fun and way, in a very supportive way. I think that those are just some of the core pieces that we're looking for a student. And so any student that has a different interest, right, can have those core beliefs or core understanding. So there's, I wouldn't say there's a typical CA student, only that they have to have those little nuggets to really get the most out of the experience at CA.
So are there any cool traditions at CA that may be unique from other schools, or perhaps there's that one tradition in Mbakwe that you hope always remains part of Concord Academy?
That's an awesome question. There's some traditions we can't actually share.
Okay.
Because
secretive. I like that.
Yeah, there's some that only certain alums even are aware of it, and they haven't even shared it with a certain group. So I'll just keep that. I'll keep that to myself. I love how we do our graduation. It's really awesome. How the students come in as well, and they are all equally a part of the graduation. The graduation is to celebrate the group of students together. There's no one person that stands out over another. Even how we read the names in the graduation is random. So no one knows who's going first. No one knows who's going last.
Okay.
And there's a special award for the last person. So when it gets to the last 5 people, like the parents are not aware of this. Parents have no idea what's going on. But when it gets to the last 5 people, you start to hear murmurs like, "Oh." And when you call your name, you should be super excited, but you're like sad because you were the last. So it's kind of a hidden secret amongst the students, which is awesome. And so the last person gets this award, which I won't share what it is, but it's kind of super, super cool. And so that's something that interplay even within a graduation celebration that is really unique to the students. I think that's super, super cool.
Very nice. And so before we speak about the admissions process at Concord Academy,
Sure.
Is there anything about CA that we didn't discuss today that you'd like to mention?
Oh, great. Yeah, a couple of items. I think one is obviously we have a couple of programs where I do want to talk about where we have something between 10 to 15 students that in their junior year will travel abroad, whether it's through through different programs, and so that's always in play, and we always encourage that so students can take advantage of that. There's I think that's one I do want to talk about. We have this thing called Department X, where it's an opportunity for students to create courses or faculty members to come together and create a unique course that is a one-off that may not. I think that's talks a little bit about the autonomy of our teachers and also the collaboration with our students. So that's something that's in play.
And that's certainly unique, the idea of having a sort of a student-driven curriculum where they have an input in some of these classes. It's pretty cool.
No, absolutely. You're right. Like the idea of our students having skin in the game, as far as like owning their own learning is unique. And I see how we're able to kind of pull that off. Those are some items that I think is worth mentioning that not everyone would be aware of.
So if someone's interested in Concord Academy, how might they go about starting the admissions process?
Great question. So Concord is a very selective, as you know, a very selective school, and we do our best to just be able to select the best students that we can. Obviously, there's those that we just unfortunately able to find spots for. So the part of the process for us is that we've made mandatory for our students to interview with us. And so whether it's students that can get onto our campus, whether during my travels, I'm able to interview students on the road, or whether we have students that cannot be on campus for a variety of different reasons. And so we interview them through Zoom. So interview process is super important. We feel like that's a critical part of us, not us just getting a chance to know the candidates and the applicants, but for them to get a chance to know us and kind of say, okay, there's a human behind that. It's not just CA. There's a human who, and that human is really interested in me and wants to tell me a little bit about the school. So that's super important. We do ask for students to submit transcripts, which is super important. It tells us a little bit about their academic history, so the current and previous year transcripts. Teacher recommendations, which would be confidential. The teachers will send it to us, and that's math and English. We have gone back to requiring the SSATs or a standardized test, so ICs, if families can get access to SSATs. We find that that's an important data point. It's not the holy grail. It doesn't tell the whole picture, but it's just a snapshot of where the child is at the moment. And it gives us some data point as we look at the whole application. And then, obviously we require parents to have a parent statement. And then there's other pieces, whether the student is an athlete, and because they're an athlete, they may have connections to the coach, reach out to the coach, learn a little bit more about our program, send us videos that can help us evaluate or help the coaches evaluate the student. Arts, we're arts as well. We have an art department that is really unique and really involved, and they want to know students that have, have goals to being a part of the art and performance program here. And so they can reach out to those faculty members and learn more about the program if they have specific questions. The same with math department as well, and our English department, any departments. Our faculty are really accessible for our applicants, and so those are some of the items that I think are kind of important in the process.
And what is the CA website?
The CA website is concordacademy.org.
Perfect. Easy enough. concordacademy.org.
Yes.
So Mbakwe, this has been awesome. I've enjoyed our conversation, learning more about Concord Academy and sharing with our audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This has been great, Jeff. I really appreciate the work you do and talking about, why boarding schools. It's really, it's a conversation that needs to happen more and more. So I appreciate the work you do.
Well, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Mbakwe Okafor, Director of Enrollment Management, Concord Academy in Concord, Massachusetts.
Thank you for listening to the Why Boarding School podcast. We look forward to you joining us for our next episode. Please remember to subscribe to the Why Boarding School podcast and help us spread the word. Until next time.